Rental businesses often struggle with delays from unnecessary manual processes, duplicated data entry in multiple systems, or juggling data on disconnected spreadsheets. There is a lack of functionality, and that makes it painful for them to get work done on a daily basis, and it's difficult to track business costs, profit, and growth. That's where we come in. With our rentals and service solutions, businesses can streamline the management of their fleet, optimize their uptime, and control costs. Our solutions are not integrated, they're embedded. They're modules inside Business Central and work like the other solution areas. The objective of this presentation is to give you an overview of our rental solution. I'll use a typical scenario to work through the process of creating a rental contract up to invoicing. I'm using the Business Manager Role Center. You see that I have service activities and rental activities shown on my homepage. There are readily available profiles that come with the solution. Users can also access the rental areas and functions from any profile as long as they have a license and the permissions to do so. This is standard Business Central behavior. This is the rental units list. You'll see it's similar to the item list, and it is where the equipment, tools, or products you rent are managed and created and maintained. You see a difference here, though. There is a line that is bolded. That is a rental unit group. The rental unit group links together rental units. In this case, we're looking at wheel loaders. I have 5 wheel loaders in my fleet. I want to be able to see their availability together because when a customer contacts me to rent a wheel loader, I need to know if I have any available, when it is, and I also want to be able to apply parameters across the units in a group. So on the group here, I have defaults and base parameters like posting, tax groups, rental terms, and general information that is applied to the units in the group. I also get statistics and information about the group, like my quantity, the quantity that might be on rent, the quantity that's available. I also can set attributes, various additional information about my units, and prices. Prices can be for all customers, per customer group. They have validity dates, so they can have a start date and an end date, and they apply to specific periods for rentals. Prices can be optimized or prorated depending on the parameters you need, and you have flexible options to either go and simply apply a flat base billing rate. As I'm doing here, I have a price per period, so it's a price per week for my rentals, but you can also add components should you need to, like metered usage prices. In this case, I have a price per hour of utilization. It could be per kilometer or another reading. You can also have waivers, additional fees, so you can configure pricing to capture all required pricing parameters, as simple or as complex they might be. You do that at the group level, which then will apply to the individual units, which simplifies configuration and management of the units in your fleet. When you go to the individual card, you get statistics and information specific to that unit, that piece of equipment. In this case, this wheel loader number 1, is linked to a fixed asset and also to service information. So I have a global view on the activity and the transactions and financial information related to that piece of equipment. I have revenue statistics, I have costs and service information that is recorded, and also information on my availability statistics, my days on rent, and my ROI on my specific unit. I have a customer and they requested a quote because they want to rent these wheel loaders. I'll go and create a rental quote so we can follow the process from the initial step. Now, I'm starting from a quote. I could start from a contract directly. So as a sales quote is not required to create a sales order, a rental quote is not required to create a rental contract. It is not mandatory. However, my customer requested a quote here, which I will provide. So I have my information for School of Fine Art that pulled from my customer, and I'm going to go and select my wheel loader group, because at this point I don't know necessarily which unit the customer is going to get when I ship out, but I can certainly provide information about unit availability and pricing based on the group. So here I selected a quantity of 2. They want 2 units, and they want those units from October to, we're going to go with the end of the year. And if I enter the information on the group line, it applies to the lines below. My prices are shown, and you see that all expected information, including dimensions and service-related information, will pull directly on my quote. I can check my unit availability to answer a quick query and confirm, yes, I have the units available. They want 2 units, and in my group, I have 3 units that are currently available. We see that in my total group, I have 5 units. I have 3 net available because I have 2 units that are currently reserved. I can go and take a look. They are currently on a rental contract, so cannot be allocated to this customer. At this point, I could email the quote to my customer. I would answer any query they might have, or if I have them in person, I can also simply capture their approval on a quote by using document signatures. Signature pads are supported. DocuSign integration is also available to capture electronic signatures on documents. So now that they approved the quote, my next step is to create the rental contract. I create the rental contract by clicking on Make Contract. This creates a rental contract that opens. It has the lines I populated on my quote. And we also have a section that was also available on the quote, but I did not use at the time, to add sales lines. For example, my manager comes and tells me that I forgot to enter the rental delivery fee that we have to bill the customer. So I add it on my contract here so I don't forget to bill it and invoice it, and so that I can seek approval because I need to get the rental contract approved, not just the quote. So I'll be able to seek formal approval from my customer for that rental delivery that needs to be billed. So I can capture additional information, and if, say, when I deliver the units or they come pick them up, they want to add parts or accessories, well, I could capture those also to be able to bill them when I bill out my rental contract. So I don't have to create a separate invoice for those charges or items. Now at this point, I want to finalize my contract, seek approval, attach the required information, and then send the units to my customer. The first thing I need to do is specifically assign the rental units. So now that I'm going to ship them out, I need to select the actual units I'm going to send out. And we see that here I can see the units I have available, and that can be shipped out. So these 2 right now are currently out on rent, so I could not assign them. I would get an error if I tried. So I assign 2 wheel loaders that I have available. And now if I look at my availability through the availability calendar here, we see that for my group, I have 1 left available. I have 2 that were already on rent on a contract, and on rent means that they were shipped and are currently at the customer site. And I have 2 on this current contract that are now reserved and showing as unavailable. They will switch to on rent once I ship them out. I have my units assigned. I can email the contract. I could also capture a signature electronically. I emailed it and my customer sent it back signed. I can attach it so that I have the rental contract signed and approved with the additional delivery charge attached to my record in Business Central. I am providing insurance, so I already have a certificate of insurance attached to my units. I could also capture and add certificate of insurance for the units that would be provided by the customer if they use their own insurance and not ours. I can import that. I can capture the information so that I have it in the system before I ship out units. Now at this point, I fulfilled all the conditions for the rental contract. I have my signatures. The units are insured. I know which units I'm going to send. I will then ship my rentals. I'm asked to confirm that the posting date is correct because my contract might have been created for approval at a previous date and then I sent out the units, but we did this one on the spot with the customer, so my date is correct and is today. I posted the shipment and we now see that my quantity on rent is updated on the contract. And if I look at the availability calendar, it's been updated to show that these units are on rent. Now, I'm going to complete the contract by returning the units and then invoicing the contract. I'm showing this on a single contract, but in a high volume environment, you would normally have a regular billing period and you would want to invoice in batches, which you can do using a worksheet that will generate invoices for all contracts that are due to invoice and leave you with only exceptions to review and handle. I'm showing it on an individual ones, but the system can adapt to what is needed to manage the rental operations and billings efficiently. Now, in this case, the customer is returning the units because they're done with them, and I will generate their invoice and finalize the rental contract. We saw earlier that metered usage is enabled on the units, so the first thing I will need to do after setting my return date is capture the meter reading because I need to bill the customer for the hours they utilized the equipment. So say they are returning and closing off the contract after a month, which is a bit earlier than initially expected, but can happen. I will change my rental return date to reflect the new rental return date. And I will then also capture the meter reading on the units. So they utilize this one for 12 hours. That's my new reading. And they utilize this one also. And my reading is now at 170. I will go to my quantity to return and confirm that I am returning the 2 units. Once I do this, I can return rentals. It's asking me to confirm, and my units are set for a return inspection. So I'm prompted to create a return inspection ticket because you can set up delivery inspections, which we did not have on those units, return inspections, and you can also manage other types of maintenance with the system. I'm going to have the service ticket created now. The return inspection ticket has been created. We'll go and take a look at it. I have a confirmation also that my return was processed successfully on the rental unit, and now I have to inspect the unit. So here, what we're seeing is a service ticket or work order that was created from my rental contract for a return inspection. This is one feature and one way to use service. The app has everything you need to optimize operations, including service unit tracking, so each service unit attached to a rental unit or without a link to a rental unit has its own card and parameters, and you can track those units. You can have checklists for service, like this one that was applied to create my return inspection and detail the actions my technician will need to take. You can use service to manage maintenance for company-owned assets or customer-owned equipment. Also, you can bill the service to clients, or you can simply use service to record internal statistics and operations on service and maintenance. The service can be done to do break, fix, repairs, ad hoc service, in which case I would go and create a service ticket manually. It can be triggered automatically through rentals for a return or delivery inspection like we're seeing now, or it can be used and generated for planned maintenance, where you set a recurrence. For example, every 20,000 kilometers, this type of equipment needs to be inspected. Well, you can set that up on the units, which will generate in the planned maintenance worksheet a recommendation to service the item or the unit because it is due for service once you enter the 20,000 kilometers reading or get to the next threshold, because you can have more than one setting in a planned schedule maintenance, so you can enter it fully. So now I'm using it with rentals, but the solution can also be used by itself without being linked directly to a rental unit. What we're seeing on the ticket lines is tasks for my return inspection, where I have labor that is recorded. I have an oil change to do. I have to rotate the tires, and I have a 50-point inspection. We're currently seeing what would be the manager view. I have my budget information, and then I would have my actuals that will be recorded by my technician, and they will also confirm that they completed the work. They can attach pictures, they can put comments, they can have tasks assigned. More than one technician can be assigned to a ticket. A work order can be printed out if the technicians work on paper. Also, they can use the mobile interface, so an iPad, a phone, other type of mobile device or tablet, to see the information, clock in, clock out, and confirm that they completed the inspection. Under these, you can also have checklists and more details that are attached to help the users and technicians work on the tickets. So in this case, the 50-point inspection has a checklist to help them, and they have to capture values. So they would have this screen available on their device with instructions or tasks to complete and values to enter. This is a 50 points one. I didn't enter all the 50 points to illustrate, but You have values to enter. You have specifications to enter here for the oil type. So it can be text, it can be measurements, it can be simple confirmations, or it can be instructions that are also provided so that they do not forget to say attach pictures, which in this case my technician didn't do yet. Now, they would complete the ticket and they would confirm that the job is done. I would review the details and mark the return inspection as complete, which would in turn make my unit available again for rent. But we're back on our rental contract to complete the close off. The service activities would take place in the shop in the back whilst we complete the contract here. So by returning the equipment, we see that my quantity on rent is now 0 and my quantity returned is 1. My last step is to invoice my rental. In the back here, I have rental value entries that are recorded and rental amount lines. Those are the background calculations that would be on the units, not on the groups, on the units based on the prices and the metered usage I entered. We have all the calculations in the background. I can see and also send a pro forma invoice to my customer if it's part of my process, or I can directly generate an invoice, which I will do in this case. I am sure I want to invoice the rental contract. It will process the invoice and post it in the background. Close off my contract. As we see, we started from a quote, so we're back here where the quote is no longer there and the contract was also moved to the completed contract, and I have a posted invoice. The postings in the system are linked to the posting groups so that the rental revenue and the metered usage revenue and any other type of charge you put on contracts are correctly recorded on the accounting side of the solution. And you can see that detail on the posted sales invoices, and that's for easy reconciliation. You also see the item here that was the rental delivery that was added as a charge to my customer. If I navigate to my customer, we will see that they have a balance, and we will see that the information here has been updated. So I have a completed rental contract for them. There is one ongoing service ticket associated to them because my return inspection has not been completed. And in the posted sales invoices, I would have my invoice that I posted for the rental with the associated information again, so that you can easily keep track of the information and navigate. We saw a lot of detailed lines, which is typically not what the customer would receive. So if I print the invoice here, you will see that the layout does not show the details that I need to review and reconcile my accounting, but shows what the customer would expect, which is the rental unit information, the period that is being invoiced, the applicable rates and charges, and the additional charges like the rental delivery. This, of course, can be personalized to add logos and other information as required by the business. So with the invoicing, we've completed a full cycle on the rental contract, including a short overview of service. So this concludes our overview of these operations in Business Central, and thank you.